Here's the simplest way to find out whether or not you're in a toxic relationship. You're constantly living in fear, whether it's fearing physical harm or fearing the unpredictability of your partner. You feel guilt, blaming yourself for your partner's actions or thinking that you can change them. You have no freedom, which means that you can't make decisions on your own, or you feel as though you can't express yourself. And you're currently feeling hopeless, as if there's no way out of your current situation and your relationship, and you're currently dwelling on your past memories as well as your past happiness that you had in the beginning of the relationship. Aside from that, I want to talk about a sensitive topic here, which is going to be on account of the toxicity in relationships. Now, toxicity in relationships is something that's far too common. However, what I'm noticing is a lot of people find it rather difficult to have to deal with a situation like that, to have to deal with the toxic partner and things of that nature, which is what ultimately makes it harder to get out of a situation like that. Usually you'll notice it's harder for somebody who's in a toxic relationship to leave a toxic relationship because they constantly feel as though the other person could get better. They constantly feel as though they can fix the other person, or they think about the beginning of the relationship when it was blissful and peaceful, and now in their mind they're thinking they're the ones that went wrong. They're the ones that did something wrong, or they're the crazy ones. So a lot of time when you're in a toxic situation, or if you're in a toxic relationship, you're normally going to get almost like the cold shoulder from whoever your significant other is after time has gone by. It's almost as if they don't even recognize you anymore. It's almost as if you mean nothing to them when just a few months ago, just a few years ago, they couldn't live without you. So now in your mind, you're constantly questioning, well, where did I go wrong? What did I do? How did I fuck up and sabotage this relationship? And there's a high likeliness that you didn't. However, you have such a manipulative partner that they're going to do a phenomenal job, rather, at making you feel as though you've contributed to the ending or to the sabotaging of your relationship. However, you'll notice that if you try and regain control over the relationship and you say that you're done, you say that this is the end and you don't want to go forward anymore, or that you don't think that they're right for one another, now all of a sudden they care about you again. Now all of a sudden they're suicidal. Now you're going to wrong them just like everybody else did, so you will be just like the rest. And they do this because they know that guilting you and making you feel as though you were the contributor to their pain is enough to keep you close by and keep you staying for more and more fucking pain from their behalf. They don't give a shit that they're hurting you. They don't care how your feelings are, and they don't care how they don't care how much you're overthinking. All they care about is the reassurance and knowing that no matter what occurs in this relationship, they have full control over you. If you're constantly finding yourself feeling like you're walking on eggshells, feeling like every decision you make is being monitored, if you have a partner that's preventing you from being with your family or being with your friends, there's a high likeliness that you're with a toxic person. And the biggest reason why they don't want you to be around family and friends is because your family and friends are the ones that are the most likely to see through their bullshit. Most importantly, they want to keep you away from anybody that's not their family, because they want to keep you away from anybody that has a different opinion than they may. So you'll notice that a toxic partner, or even a narcissistic partner, most importantly, they isolate you from your family. They'll let you see their family and hang out with their family. However, they won't let you see yours, or they'll make it almost impossible, or make you feel as though your family envies you, make you feel as though your family's against you. And ironically, a toxic partner can make your relationship feel as though it's a negotiation. The only thing that you're negotiating with a toxic person is your happiness for their comfort. Toxicity tends to sprout over time. If you're lucky enough, toxicity sprouts very early in the relationship and you have enough time to get out. If you're wondering whether or not you're in a toxic relationship, and if you're wondering whether or not your relationship is healthy for you, I want you to reflect back and think about the entirety of your relationship from the beginning until now. I want you to think about all the good moments. I want you to think about all the bad moments. I want you to think about the reason why you've stood, even if you think that this is a toxic relationship. Once you finish thinking about that, I want you to ask yourself this. Upon thinking about the happy moments, thinking about the negative moments, what percentage of your relationship would you say was filled with happiness? And what percentage of your relationship would you say was filled with negativity and filled with pain? Often when you're in a toxic relationship, you'll find that there's a small percentage of your relationship that consisted of happy moments. However, that small percentage almost came in cycles to where you would be dealt with so much pain and so much hurt, but then out of nowhere comes happiness. And that makes you forget about the pain. It makes you forget about the hurt that you were just put through, and almost makes up for it because now you're currently focusing on the happy times and the happy moments, which makes it harder for you to leave, because all you want when you're in a toxic relationship, and it's a toxic relationship you've been in for a while, you have a lot of hope that this person will suddenly change. When you're in a moment where it seems blissful and it seems happy, what the first thing it does is it reminds you of the beginning of the relationship. It reminds you of what made you fall in love with this person. Even though the previous months were just toxic, it takes one moment to shift your entire thinking and shift your entire thought process in terms of how you perceive your relationship and whether or not you deem your relationship toxic for you. And this is what's hurting a lot of people and keeping a lot of people to stay in a toxic situation and almost ruin their lives and almost run their own sanity to the ground. And then when their relationship fails, they often blame themselves and say they're guilty or that they have something to do with it. Usually that's because of the brilliant work of their narcissistic and manipulative partner, making them believe that they were the problem all along. And so if you find yourself in this type of situation, ask yourself that question. Ask yourself what percentage of the relationship was happy, what percentage of it was negative. And then think to yourself, if there's a higher percentage of negative moments in the relationship, why are you clinging on to the happiness? Why are you clinging on to the happy times when it was very minimal at best? Comfort, complacency. You don't think that somebody else will give you the same level of affection, attention, or love. And the reason you struggle to believe that is because your partner has convinced you that nobody else will be able to tolerate you, and your partner has convinced you that nobody will be able to love you the same way that they love you. Don't buy into that bullshit, because at the end of the day, a relationship should not be you negotiating your happiness and peace for somebody else's comfort and control.